Hello, world.
Howdy doody, world.
So we've got a fun show tonight. Not too much has happened in the last week, so we got a couple weird conversations that I guess we're gonna have. But first and foremost, we always want to talk about our charity that we're working with. I want to finish by saying thank you to everybody that donated last month for Off the Grid missions. Yep. We were able to hit about half of our goal, and I know we don't have much of a following, so every single penny that we get, we super appreciate. I'm never going to be like, darn it, we didn't hit our goal. I can't believe you guys. We raised $70 for an organization that would not have got $70 otherwise. So you know what? Mm-hmm. I'm happy about it. We got a few people to donate. Even if it's just a small bit of good in the world, I'm happy. This month, I don't remember the exact GoFundMe page name. It's not really an organization. I think it's just, people pulling together to do the right thing. It's a GoFundMe. It's on our page, and it is for the families in relief for the tragedy that happened. Was it like 2 weeks ago at this point? Doesn't seem like it, but it probably is.
Doesn't seem like 2 weeks ago.
Maybe last week, whatever it was. But it's a GoFundMe page for the families down in Texas, just to help them out. And like I said, every single dollar that we are able to bring in, you are in the running for all three of the raffles that we do: the sweatshirt, the cup, and then the jersey at the end of the year. So just for this month only, every single dollar that we can get, the link to the GoFundMe is on our page. Please, please, please donate. But without further ado, we got some Bengals talk, right?
Believe it or not, we're going to talk Bengals.
We have, always got to mention it, the Brimming Horn Bengals talk.
It's the official sound of the Brimming Horn.
I need to talk with them, and if the guy's good with it, I'll put in a little video of a guy blowing a horn, making that noise. Yeah. I'll try not to make it. Probably the one video I'll find is a bunch of people at the Vikings game doing it. But I'll see if I can piece that in there. We'll get a couple effects going. But for our Brimming Horn meatery Bengals talk, there's some rumblings, some I would say significant rumblings from pretty good sources that
are you saying rumblings because it involves heavy players?
No, but we'll go that route if it makes you happy. It sounds like Trey Hopkins might be coming back, and we always kind of anticipated him. There's always one guy every year that kind of is a cap casualty that you really don't want to let go. But if you could bring back on the cheap, you would 100% do it. He played decent last year. He played significantly better the second half of the season. And I don't get the guy's Twitter account name, but he got a lot of attraction. He seemed to be pretty reliable. I've seen him floating around before. Alex Kappa's current number is 66. And it sounds like he's getting ready to change his number to 65. Because there's somebody that they need to clear that number up for.
That means they're not going to bring Larry back.
Well, Larry's not 66.
Larry's 65.
Well, Larry's 65. Yeah. Well, Larry could come back for a different number. I just don't know where Larry's at with all his rehab. But
I don't either.
It's sounding like Trey would come back. And when I initially told you, you were like, "Oh, I don't know." And I was like, "It's a backup." And then you start thinking about,
I'm good.
If it's a backup, you think about that. He's got years of starting experience. He's not a top end starter. When he's at his best, he's probably middle of the pack, but he's not a terrible center by any stretch of the imagination. Some of his numbers have been bad recently, but he's coming off a ACL. So you get him, he's always graded well when he plays guard. He's been good at times at center. It offers you depth now at three positions from left guard, center to right guard. You clear up what I considered a big issue. Because remember last week, Kappa went down, and you had like Carmen and Volson, and you had all Adeniji was in there.
Oh,
and everybody was losing but everybody was losing their mind.
I don't want to hear his name
Hopkins
again.
back. Fine.
We can give number 77 away. No, we're not going to get him on for the guest, and we don't want him anyway.
Great. Thanks. But it sounds like there's some rumblings, and I think that would be a good move. He's obviously not going to be too expensive. He knows the system. He knows the culture, which is a really big one with Cincinnati. He knows Burrow. You know, he can play left guard, right guard, and center. I think if you add him as a depth piece, you are in fantastic shape.
Can we add one more depth piece?
I would really like that move.
Can we add one more depth piece?
You're wanting to bring Spain back, aren't you?
I don't care. I know he missed the block on the last play, but Spain had a great year. He had a great year.
He did. He had a fantastic year, and I frankly would bring him back. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if it's he wants more years on a contract. I don't know if he doesn't want to be here. I've heard he wants to be here. It sounds like the Bengals want to do 1-year deals with him. It sounds like he wants a little more security.
These guys want to be wherever.
1-year deals like his entire career. Probably. I mean, money talks. But he's not signed, and he was a good guard. So maybe he's wanting more than what the league feels he's worth. I don't know. I would love to have him back. I mean, if you have, Spain and Hopkins, who weren't necessarily the problem last year as your backups, and you've improved everywhere else, you would, in my opinion, because I think they're a fringe top 10 offensive line right now. If you secure the depth, I think you're definitely top 10. And I think that helps a lot.
Absolutely.
And then I took the liberty of kind of going through all the remaining free agents.
I'm sure you did.
I did. I sent Jay a text with about 200 names on it today. There wasn't a whole lot that I was excited about there. There's a couple names that are kind of like those old veterans, like, do you really want to do this? Do you want to roll the dice? You'll probably have to pay them more than somebody up and coming who can probably do the same job. But there wasn't anything that really jumped off the page to me. The only name out there is J.C. Treader, and people need to get over that. He's not coming here. He's going to make too much money. I would be super excited if they found a way to do it, but I wouldn't even think about that right now. But outside of that, I think we're kind of coasting straight into preseason. There's always going to be a surprise cut there. Someone will do something stupid. Someone might get hurt, opens up a roster spot. There's still going to be some shuffling, but I wouldn't anticipate anything major. I think what you got at this point, first day of June, that's where we're at.
For those who are counting on their fingers and toes and anything else they can find, 14 weeks and 4 days to opening kickoff.
We're under 100 days for the NFL kickoff.
I think you're under 100 days for the Thursday night football. I think you're around 101, 102 for the Reds or for the Bengals.
Yeah, I think yesterday was the 100 days. So 99 for everybody else, and then 3-4 days to Sunday, whatever I don't know. I don't do math. You're probably like 102, whatever it comes out to. But
something like that.
Let's transition on. Speaking of your slippage, if we'll call it that, the Reds, the last 3 weeks have been fun.
They've won 13 of 22.
They can't hit worth the damn, but they're playing about 600 ball, and that's all I ever ask for.
That's what quality starting pitching, and they're getting quality starting pitching will do. It's like every time you look up, they're throwing a one-hitter or a two-hitter or a no-hitter.
Right. We had 3 no-hitter alerts this week. And, speaking of quality pitching, he's got runners on the corners right now with nobody out. But Hunter Green is through 3. He's got 7 strikeouts.
Yep.
So, the guy that probably got some of the most heat from us early on, deservedly so. And maybe it wasn't directed toward him as much as it was the media. But he's finally showing what we thought he could be. 7 strikeouts through 3 innings is nothing to turn your nose up to. That's just about perfect, in all honesty. Yeah. That's more than 2 an inning. That's a ridiculous rate. The best relievers in baseball barely sniff 2 an inning. So, for a starter, I tell you, I watched a little of it before we jumped on here. He was painting the corners with that slider tonight. It's biting, and he's got the fastball under control. His biggest issue is when he can't throw that slider for a strike, and the people just sit on 100. And 100's nothing if you know it's coming. But, he's done well. The Reds they're playing a little better. Joey missed 2 home runs by a combined 6 inches last night. I don't know if you ever saw those or not, but, man.
No, you told me about them. I believe you that they both hit the top of the fence and actually bounced up. I know one of them you said bounced up.
It bounced straight in the air. You don't hit a wall and bounce up. I want to see if I can find it. We'll share the screen. I know the Reds put it on Twitter because that's where I was watching it. I want to see your reaction when you see how far these missed, or by how close they missed, rather. Let's see here.
While you're hunting for your video, I know another subject that you're going to get into is that. What?
What'd you say?
I said I know another subject that you're going to be covering involving the Reds, and I'm going to just kind of open it up while you're hunting for your video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Apparently somebody on the Twitter box. Oh, looks like you may have found something.
I find everything. I'm quick.
That looks like Dave Collins. That doesn't look like Votto. That looks like a little Davey Collins at the plate.
All right. Well, I'll play these, and we'll get into the other topic. I mean, this is only like a minute and a half. Like you'll see how close these were to really going out.
Okay.
Right center field. That's got some carry. Gone.
He even said gone.
No, is not very good.
Play.
Uh-oh.
That's going to be a double for Votto.
Well, here we go.
I mean, literally. Doink! Now this one.
This ball high in the air, deep left center. On the ricochet, brought in.
And look at Votto. He's like pissed off.
The second base, standing again.
Doink! It bounced straight up again.
Votto asking for explanation. Pivots his head to our second base umpire as David Bell comes out to ask, what you got?
Kind of too hard to tell there. It's a very choppy
Votto
video.
launches to right center field. That's got some
I'm sorry, I don't have the quality. Maybe my wife doesn't work at Spectrum anymore, and then they cut our internet out or something. I don't know what happened.
Something happened.
Yeah. Maybe, I mean, it could just be yours. It might look good on ours when we replay this, but regardless, the second one, if like the corner's there, it went and shot right corner.
Well, for anybody that is experienced enough to remember the 1975 World Series, that first ball that Votto hit was very, very similar to the ball that Joe Morgan hit in the top of the 12th inning that turned into a double play, which then led to the Carlton Fisk walk-off.
Well,
that hurt.
We're not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about with that era is Votto and bench. And I've said this before. I hate compare culture. I hate it. Ashley and I were actually at Waffle House last night talking about it. I hear my dog whining in the background. I don't know if you can hear that or not. But we were at Waffle House last night, and I was just kind of going on a rant. And I was like, I hate when people say, do you think Babe Ruth could play today? No. Babe Ruth couldn't play today. First off, he'd do something stupid, show up to a game drunk, and he would never play again. You can't get away with that kind of stuff now. So it's just eras, rules, talent. It's so hard. I don't like doing it. But there was somebody on Twitter, and I don't know who it was. It was one of those comments where you could tell the guy's not really keen on Twitter because his username was like Mark798373942796. One of those things. It's an auto-generated name. Like he didn't put any thought process into this. And Votto had passed up bench for, I think, doubles and extra base hits as a Red. And he said, Votto's not even in bench's class. And I was like, I think there's a lot of hardened Reds fans out there that don't realize how truly great of a hitter Joey Votto is. And I put out just a little side-by-side of, hits per game, walks per game, on-base percentage, career batting average. The only ones that Votto is not going to catch him in or isn't leading, quite frankly, were all-star appearances, which was 10-6. I don't think Joey's going to make 4 more, or 14-6 rather, and Gold Gloves, which is 10-1. Votto's not a Gold Glove kind of guy. Votto's 50 home runs behind him. If he plays 3 more years, he might catch him on home runs, especially with the way these ballparks are and the way home runs go. 50 is not a stretch. It seems like a lot. You get 2 good weeks in there and you're flying up the list, right? Hits, they're like identical in hits. So Votto's going to pass him up. Singles, they're identical. He's passed him in doubles. He's 2 away on triples. Triples might be hard because Joey's not the best base runner, but he's smoked him in on-base percentage. He's smoked him in batting average. And I'm trying to go with stats that were actually kept and recorded back then because nobody cared about sabermetrics back then. So RBIs, I mean, it's hard because Joey doesn't always have the team around him that bench did. So I went at RBIs per game, and they're pretty close. You look at runs per game, and Votto's got him smoked. He averages like a whole 1/10 of a point more runs per game. It's like 0.6 to 0.5. It's 20% more per game. I love Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench is the best catcher to ever play this game. But if there's a class, Bench and Votto are in the same one, and Votto's probably just a little bit of a tick better. Sorry for the people that are nostalgic. I understand that was probably your guy growing up. You ate at his restaurant, whatever. Votto's a damn good hitter.
All right, can I chime in as somebody that actually has seen both these guys play live?
Go for it.
Votto is a superior hitter to Johnny Bench. Johnny Bench played a much more difficult, rigorous position that beat his body to hell and back. Keep that in mind. Johnny Bench is ahead of Votto in a couple statistics that nobody would ever think. And I haven't looked them up. I don't have to look them up because I know.
Okay.
Johnny Bench has many, many, many more bunt singles than Votto because Johnny Bench would take what the defense gave him. Votto's too stubborn to do it. The other thing is Johnny Bench probably has, I'm sure, more stolen bases than Votto. Because Bench could steal bases back in the
Probably.
day. He would surprise the hell out of him.
Well, and like we know Votto's just an atrocious base runner.
And the only other thing, though, that you can't measure between the two is we never got to see Votto in a high-pressure postseason situation. Johnny Bench rose to the occasion.
The biggest moment I ever saw Votto in was that Dodger game like 10 years ago.
And that really
fouled
wasn't
off a million pitches.
That was just a bottom of the
big
ninth
game.
It was just a game.
Yeah, it was just a clutch situation. We fouled off a billion pitches and lined one down the left field line, but that's when I think of a big time Joey Votto, that and the Mother's Day Grand Slam against the Nationals.
Yeah.
Where, I got in trouble because I was watching that one on my phone at my graduation for high school, and I got in trouble. I had my gown all puffed up like this, and I had my phone under my gown. Oh, well. And I didn't have the game. I had game day, so I was just sitting there, and it said, blue dot, runs, grand slam. And I was like trying to be excited. I remember looking over at you, and you were like, yeah, I see it too. And my buddy's looking, and then like the teacher's like, what the hell are you 3 talking about? I'm like, home run, man. Like, we got more important things.
But to get back to to just bring it all back, Votto's a better hitter than Bench was. Bench is going to always be more revered because the position he played and the teams he was on.
Well, I think Bench is an overall better player. I don't think that's even a conversation.
He's a far and away better defensive player, and he was a far better base runner.
Right, he's a better base runner. He's a better fielder. I don't know what Joey Votto's like in a clubhouse. I feel like they're probably close. Maybe give Bench the nod. It's hard not to give a legendary player a nod when they got all the rings and all the glory and the fame and everything. I wasn't there for it. But if we're going strictly on hitting, Votto's a better hitter, and they're not far off. They're probably in the same class. They're 2 of the best in the history of this franchise.
I don't even know why we're talking about Votto and Bench. Why aren't we talking about Votto and Rose? I mean, why did that person bring up Bench was only like
he brought it up
hitter?
267. I can tell you.
I mean, but Bench wasn't really known. I mean, he was known for some power, but he wasn't known as a tremendous hitter.
No, he was known for
Joe Morgan was probably the all-around best hitter on that team, and Tony Perez was the most clutch player.
Joe Morgan was probably Joe Morgan was probably the best player on that team, if we're being honest.
Yeah, you didn't have second baseman back then hitting 25, 27 home runs and doing everything that Morgan did. You didn't have second baseman doing that back then.
You didn't have sub 6 foot players hitting home runs like that back then. No. You don't have it now.
5'7".
He was very compact and powerful. Like you never see that.
I think he had about move on. I think he had a 60-inch long bat. He had a really long bat.
Well, might help. But we'll move on.
What else we got here? Oh, God.
Topic I'm not really.
Can we spend less than 2 minutes? Let's please spend less than 2 minutes.
Sure. According to a report, there was a 23rd woman that came out and has opened a lawsuit against Jackass in Cleveland. And apparently she got the intestinal fortitude, and I say that with all due sincerity because it is hard to bring that stuff up. I guess the HBO special that ran, she watched it, and it gave her whatever she needed to say, it happened to me too. So God knows how many more there are out there. I mean, how often do you hear professional athletes getting a massage? I mean, they take care of their bodies like nobody's business. Mm-hmm. If this guy's truly a serial sex offender, and I'm going to say allegedly because he hasn't been charged with anything yet, I'm going to at least play it the right way. We're still finding more years into it. It's disgusting. I don't really want to go into it, but there's another one. The thing that I wanted to go into is there was a report that said the Cleveland Browns anticipated that Deshaun Watson was going to be suspended for the year. Well, no shit. Look at the way they wrote his contract. Just pull that up real quick. And I know everybody kind of knows the basics of it, but if you go OTC, which is a really great site for contracts here, right? I don't know. Can you see that? How's it look? Yeah, it's a little small.
Make my screen bigger. I can see it.
Okay. So first things first with contracts. Everybody likes to talk about signing bonus. I want to break down how this works very, very quickly on a very, very simplistic level. He got a signing bonus of, includes a $44.9 million signing bonus, $45 million. The way you do that is you prorate it, okay? So when you look at the cap, every time, here's that 44.9 under a prorated bonus, it's $9 million a year. That's the way you keep your cap number down. For people who always go, oh my God, how can you sign all these guys? You give them a big signing bonus, you prorate it, it keeps your cap number low, right? Because your cap number is the prorated signing bonus plus your base salary, and then any other little workout bonuses thrown in there. Look at the base salary for year one. Look at the base salary for year 2, 3, 4, 5, $46 million a pop. Of course they knew he was probably going to get suspended. They planned for it. And you know why Deshaun Watson still took this contract? Because even though that signing bonus is prorated against the cap, he gets all that cash on day one. So here, we'll give you $45 million right now. Wait a year. You'll only lose $1 million. So the Browns are only out $1 million if all this shit hits the fan. And then he gets to, boom, make it rain for the next 4 years.
I'm going to argue your point.
Okay. Are you for or against it?
I think you're incorrect.
Okay.
I don't think the Cleveland Browns did a great job of structuring this contract, because the Cleveland Browns, I mean, they're going to pay all this money either way. The only way they wouldn't have paid, they could have paid less, is if they just structured this evenly across the board and given him $40 million a year. The one that was smart was Deshaun Watson.
I'm not saying it's a smart contract.
Well, no, you said you said they were smart because of the way they built it, because they knew it was coming. They didn't do it. Deshaun Watson
they were smart for the for the first year.
No,
they're
that's
smart.
dumb on
Everything
their
after
part.
it's a shit show.
No, that's
How?
dumb on the Browns' part. If the Browns would have paid him
disagree.
$40 million, he wouldn't have got it. That contract's not guaranteed to pay him that money if he gets suspended.
They built the contract so he would sign. I'm not saying it's a good contract. I'm saying that based on the way it's built, they're anticipating him not being there.
Deshaun Watson was anticipating him not being there. Deshaun Watson built that contract.
Both parties knew.
The credit.
Both parties knew what was going on. It's not like Cleveland went, we only have to pay you $1 million.
Deshaun Watson really knows what's going on.
Of course
he's the one that authored that contract.
Point being, everybody involved knew he probably wasn't going to play this year. That's why it was built like that.
I understand.
Whether you want to,
I just don't want to give Cleveland
Sean credit.
Cleveland doesn't do a lot of smart things. This contract was a dumb.
It wasn't smart to bring him in.
No, it wasn't.
No, I'm just showing on year one. On year one, all I'm saying is they have prepped for him not to be there. That's all.
He prepped for him not being there.
Regardless, the contract is written because everybody knows he's not going to be there. And off the off chance that he is there, then they lucked out.
We spent too much time on this one.
Okay.
Let's get to our road trip.
Road trip. So, Willie. Love Willie. Willie's my guy.
Willie.
He had put out there today, and you know it's the off season when you get stuff like this. I'm not shaming Willie because I love food, obviously. But when it's a Thursday in the off season, and the tweets put out there, who has the best food for a Bengals road trip this year? I'm a foodie. You kind of are, to a degree.
I'm not a foodie.
You
have
a very
foodie at all.
Well, hold on. You have a very, very limited diet, like Pop-Tarts and Pop-Tarts.
Who's got the best bakery? Then I'm there. And it's probably going to be Boston because I don't like Dunkin' Donuts, but there's one on every corner.
No, I guarantee you, Boston has the worst food on the entire road trip. So let's just go. I'll share this one here. City for city, talk about what they have to offer, and then we'll give a small ranking. This is we always have a wild card topic, and this will be our wild card topic for the day. Okay, so future opponents, just sort it by the away, just the easiest way to do it here. Baltimore.
Crab cakes.
Unless you like crab cakes, there ain't shit in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Sorry, guys. Cleveland. I don't even think they have food in Cleveland. They just live off of river fire. Yeah, they live off of Cuyahoga fires. I don't even know. They go down to Columbus to eat. They make a 2-hour voyage. It is very Neanderthal up there. Dallas has some damn good food.
They probably got some barbecue. They probably got some of that cowboy stuff going on.
They got some cowboy stuff. They're known more for the Tex-Mex. And this is an interesting conversation because people that are from Texas love Texas, but they hate parts of Texas. Apparently, because I'll put out there because people are like, oh, I love Texas. I want to go back. I love, this is great. I'm like, I went there one time. It was fucking awful. And they're like, where'd you go? And I say Dallas. And they go, oh, well, that's why. So apparently everybody outside of Dallas hates Dallas. And everybody in Dallas is a jackass, which is kind of the way the sports world works. Like if you're not a Cowboy fan, you probably just, right? But, I was in Dallas. I had some Tex-Mex. It was all right. I wasn't thrilled with anything I had there. Maybe I got to go to Austin or something, but I'm sure if I met with the right people, Dallas would have something good to offer. Boston, ain't nothing there worth mentioning.
Clam chowder.
Yeah, fucking snot soup. Great.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay, I'm going to skip New Orleans because I think you guys know why. New York, it's really Jersey. I don't even think they have food in Jersey. It's disgusting. There's nothing good about Jersey ever. New York's all right. If you're talking the New York City area, everybody likes like Joe's Pizza. Everybody likes, I think Prince Street Pizza is a big one. Bagels. You know, New York doesn't have a whole lot. It's a lot of commercialized stuff. So New York, no. Pittsburgh, they got
Heinz ketchup.
yeah. These got bottles of ketchup. Here you go.
Yeah, they just have condiments.
Do you know what Primanti Brothers is? Have you seen that?
Do I know what is?
Primanti Brothers. It's their like we have Skyline. That's like their Pittsburgh food. It's big deli sandwiches, but the shtick is that they stuff it with like French fries. So it's like a club sandwich with a bunch of French fries in it.
Sounds like something like that show you used to watch, Dives, Diners, and
yeah. I mean, it's their thing. I've heard it's good. I will never be able to tell you if it's good or not because I will never step foot in that fucking city. But it is what it is. Tampa, I love seafood.
It's got to be seafood.
It's on the Gulf side of Florida, so it's not the crazy side. But you don't like seafood, so you're out again.
It's on the Gulf side, so it's warmer seafood than on the Atlantic side.
You might get some Cajun flair. I think there's a Skyline down there. There used to be
Naples.
one. Yeah, there's one in Naples. There used to be one in Fort Lauderdale. I think they took that one out. But there's a couple Skylines floating around the Florida area. Mm-hmm. Tennessee. I'll tell you one thing.
I'm sure they got some pretty darn good barbecue.
I don't care about the Titans, and I don't mean that like I don't care about them. Like they're just kind of there, right? It's not somebody we play a whole lot. We kind of split with them over the course of the franchise. It's not like the rivalry used to be with the Oilers, but every time I go to Tennessee, I eat good. Like it doesn't have to be barbecue. I pulled over one time because I thought I was going to go to a Crystals down in like Gatlinburg somewhere. There were Dolly Parton signs everywhere. And there was some restaurant it was some kind of pancake flapjack place. Oh my God. Like I didn't eat there, but I could smell it from the other side of the freaking intersection. It was just, every time I go to Tennessee, I eat something good. I know
cookout there.
They do have cookout. I love cookout. Just a chain place. But, I love cookout. I've never had a bad meal in Tennessee. But I think the king on this list right now is New Orleans. Yet again, I know you're not a seafood person, but that you can get gumbo without shrimp. You can get jambalaya without shrimp. You can go to a boil without shrimp if you really want to take it out. They have fantastic bakeries. They got the king cakes around Mardi Gras. I'm sure somewhere has a freaking baller cinnamon roll down there. I know that's one of your things.
Yeah, cinnamon rolls.
Man, I think if I had to just make a list, it would be like New Orleans, Tennessee. I guess I'll throw Dallas in there because I'm sure I just had a really bad trip. It's in my head. And then everybody else can just take their food and never talk to me because it's terrible. There's nothing in any of those other places. And I've been to Boston before. If it's not Dunkin' Donuts, they ain't got anything good. And quite frankly, Dunkin' Donuts can't hold a candle to Holtman's. So I don't want to hear it.
Oh gosh, no.
Now.
We could use an extra sponsor, though. It would be nice if Holtman's
send the check.
And the donuts.
Yeah, you don't even have to give me a check. I'll just take a box of donuts every month. I will go there every third Sunday and just get a dozen, and I'll be good to go. But we mentioned this. We teased it once. We never talked about it. We're at the 33-minute mark, so this will be the last thing that we'll wrap up. Obviously, we do not like Boston, if you have not figured it out by the way that we have addressed it in the show a few times. And when the schedule was coming out, you had mentioned that there is a place that you will never go back again.
Yep.
I think it's Boston.
To
give you an idea, just the entire thing was awful. And I guess I'll tell the story. First off, to set the tone, it was the we're on to Cincinnati game where the Patriots were stumbling. We were, I think, 4-0 or something. We were starting off hot. I think it was, 2014, 2016, whatever it was. It was 7 or 8 years ago at this point. And we were like, we're going to go to Boston and we're going to beat the Patriots in New England. Screw you, Bill Belichick. I love you, Tom, but you're going down. And that was kind of the atmosphere. Took a couple friends with us. We were like, we're going to spend the weekend in Boston. It's going to be great. First off, every single person I met in Boston on that trip was an absolute asshole, one way or the other. We were in the airport. I don't know if you remember this or not. And we were just trying to get checked in at the airport. This is coming back. So I guess I'll go back to front with this story. And there was a woman who was blind who was next in line. And it was just her and us. It was kind of empty at this point. I don't know if we just picked a non-busy day to fly out or whatever. And the lady at the counter was like, is there anybody here, who's next, or, anybody that needs help boarding? And the lady was there. She was blind. And she was like, I'm blind. I need help. I'm ready to go. I just need some assistance. And we kind of looked. We're like pointing like, hey, she needs help. The lady at the counter just looked at her and went, whatever, and told us to come up. And they like freaking left her in the dust. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And that's just a microcosm of the trip. But, we had met several people who were rude as hell. Everybody says New Yorkers are rude. New Yorkers are rude because there's a shit ton of tourists, so you're just kind of in their way, and I get that. Boston's got this, like, I'm better than you attitude, and I can't stand it. I get if you're agitated because there's people in your way. We've all been busy. But with Boston, it's not even busy. It's very laissez-faire. They just think they're assholes.
We got that when we tried to check into the hotel the first night. I can't remember the specifics behind it, but I know the woman was very rude. She was condescending. She acted like we had no idea what we were doing, when I think the exact opposite was the case. We knew that we made a reservation. She seemed to not know that we made a reservation. She figured it out eventually when she, I guess, spelled the name.
We've traveled before. We've traveled before.
Works.
I know how a hotel works. But we'll get into the actual game now. First off, if you've never been to Boston for a game, there's like 2 ways to get into the stadium. If you're lucky enough to drive or take a bus or shuttle, whatever, that would be the ideal option. If they tell you to take the train through the 100-acre woods, bypass that option. So we waited forever at the station to get on this train. Finally get boarded on, and they're like, all right, we're taking off. Keep in mind, the game's at 8:15, 8:30 game, whatever it is.
We took off, about 6 o'clock? Wasn't it like 6:05?
The train starts going. Yeah, and the train starts going, and it's going like a top speed of like 2 miles an hour.
I think you could have. I think you could have.
I probably could have walked there. Genuinely walked. It was a very slow train. And then now I'm in a train with a bunch of Boston fans who, if you know anything about Boston, they like their beer, and they were pre-gaming all day. It's 6 o'clock at this point. So we're getting some great comments, people yelling at us, throwing shit at us on the train. I was under the impression that this train was going to drop us off at the stadium. No. The train stops in the middle of the fucking jungle or wherever we're at outside Foxborough. You get off the train, which, by the way, the train's not really level with the ground because it's, built up on the tracks a little bit. And then you've got like a solid 2 foot of gravel. So the best part of the trip was watching all of these drunken Bostonians slip and slide off the gravel onto the train tracks and barrel roll into a bush as they're getting off this damn train. Then there's probably a few thousand of us at least, all just kind of angry mob form walking through the woods. And you can, I'm not shitting you, go on Google Maps. You can find the train and see where it lets you off. There's nothing there. It's just the woods. Walking through, you finally see the beacon of light that is Foxborough and Gillette Stadium. And they had everybody funnel in through one damn gate. Paul Brown Stadium, there's 4 or 5, there's 6 gates. There's gate A through E. Everybody was going through one gate. Meanwhile, we're still getting shit thrown at us. We're still getting all kinds of nastiness. And then it takes so long. We got into the stadium. It is 5 miles from the train station to Foxborough. It's not far. we were getting into our seat at the national anthem. It was a 2-hour trek to go like 5 miles. And the worst part about it was, is I'm sitting there. We're sitting there at the gate and we're looking up at the Jumbotron, and everybody starts just this huge roar. Not the loudest roar I've ever heard, but it's Boston and it was Tom Brady. And out comes Brady. And I'm looking at the Jumbotron. They're shooting off the red fireworks that they got. And I looked at my dad and I went, oh, we're going to get killed. This is bad. This is really bad. Like, it kind of hit me like I was a little cocky this whole week, but we're going to get our ass beat. And we did. But, even in the stadium, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but we had people like hitting us in the back of the head and shoving us when we're in our seat. Some lady was like smacking your shoulders and smacked it. And it was like the whole game. People were just hitting us.
Any time that New England had a good play or we had a bad play, the smacks were coming.
We got hit. We had beer poured on us. And it's not like you could leave because you had to wait for the damn train to come get you. So we had to sit there in that onslaught, wait the whole time, beer pour on us, people hitting us, people throwing shit at us. Finally go through the mob to get back to the train. I'm sitting on the train like this, just leaned up against the window because I'm miserable. 2 eggs hit me. Not hit me, but hit my window and started sliding. Literally had eggs thrown at me. The entire walk back to the train, I had a Dalton jersey on. People were just chanting Andy Dalton at me over and over and over again.
Who brings an egg to a football game?
Right, I don't understand that. But then I'm sitting there on the window, and someone fucking punched the window. Like, full speed punched the window and hit me in the shoulder. And I was like, what is happening? I'm kind of verbal on Twitter, but when I go to a game, you've been to games with me my whole life. I don't really say much. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm getting punched and eggs thrown at me. I smell like beer. And then we take off, and this drunk guy just sits across from us and starts talking about how much he loves the Bengals as he's wearing a Tom Brady jersey. Just to get to the airport to watch the airport discriminate against the blind. I was like, I am never ever coming back to this awful city. Did
you
awful.
Forget about the hour to hour and a half that we had to spend on multiple subways to get back to the hotel? It was like 2:30 in the morning when we finally got back to the hotel. 2:30.
I guess I blocked it out. They say God. People that went through trauma can bury the memory. I guess that's where we were at. But man,
I would never go to a New England Patriot game again.
The fans were awful. But I think the worst part was just getting to and from the game. I can handle rowdy fans. I've been to enough shitty games. I get it. But man, like the trek to and from.
I don't even like the 10-minute bus ride it takes for us
right.
From Paul Brown Stadium over to Newport on the Levee.
Yeah,
an hour. Can you imagine doing that every weekend? No way.
I feel like it's a pain in the ass sometimes when, we used to park at the Game Works, and it's like, man, I got to walk across that bridge for all of 12 minutes or whatever it was. Some of these, it's like 2 hours to get to a game. You got to plan your whole day around it. I mean, it was just brutal. And I'm done, but I highly advise if anybody wants to go to the game, go for it. I'm not going to stop you. Like, you're good. But do everything in your power to not take that damn train to the game. Because it will suck the life out of you. And I'm good.
All right. Glad
you have anything you want to say? You want to? Oh, it hurt. I wrote an article about it, and someone called me a salty ass fan. I'm like, I don't even care that we got our ass kicked. I'm a Bengal fan. Like, I watched it for years. I got my own ass beat. I was a little bitter about that. But do you have anything you want to pump? Any charities you want to talk about before we jump off here?
No, I think I'm just thinking again about all those children, all those kids, all those parents. Any little donation helps. It's a tragedy that we will honestly. I think most people will remember that tragedy the rest of their lives. That was a gut.
Well, it'll go down like the Sandy Hook stuff. Like, you hear Sandy Hook, you think of one thing. You're going to hear Yeah, I think I'm pronouncing it right when I say Uvalde. Uvalde, I don't know for sure. If I butcher it, I'm sorry. But anytime I hear that, that's the only thing that's going to come to my mind. It's kind of like when you hear Columbine. You think of one thing. So unfortunately, it is what it is at this point. You can't change it, but you can help. And if you can donate. If you can volunteer. If all you believe prayer is the right way to go, pray. Whatever you can do to help. And if you want to donate, all we're asking is a freaking $1. $1. You can end up with a freaking sweet ass custom Jamar Chase Uno jersey from the 90s out of this. $1 is all I ask. Please. With that being said, good little show. I think we ranted enough about Boston tonight.
Yes, we did.
As the Reds are playing, are we winning or losing that one? I might be causing some really bad karma right now.
Well, last I saw, we were down. Down 4-1.
Yeah. Okay. So I may have tipped the scales there. Sorry, guys. With that being said, we will see you Friday. Quick turnaround this week. So if anybody can make anything in the sports world happen in the next 24 to 48 hours, I would really appreciate it. And as we always sign off, you can do it?
I'm waiting for you first.
What, me?
Yeah.
You always have the thunderous one. You put the gusto into it.
Hooray!
Hooray! Now you got to sing. You going to sing?
A good song and a love affair go hand in hand together. When you think you've gotten over one, the other holds on to you forever.
All right, goodbye.
Bye.